Welcome to a review for Business Ethics exam number 1. We don't have a study guide, so I wrote together a list of terms that I'm thinking will be on the test tomorrow. I'll link these in the description in a PDF if you'd like them, but I'll just go through them and hopefully we can remember through some fun etymology, analogies, stories, etc. Let's get into it. Alright, so what are rights? Rights are legal, social, or ethical principles of freedom. And the primary three that are in the Constitution are life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. And our teacher defines happiness as the ability to own property, or that your property is protected by the government. No one's just gonna come and take it away randomly. Next is an important and very interesting concept that we had a little bit of a debate on last class: natural rights versus civil rights. And so the debate was, can your natural or civil rights be taken away legally? So let's first start off with what is the difference. Natural rights are from our creator and civil rights are from the government. So I think we ended the discussion saying they can be taken away legally. One good example was a civil right from the government is the right to bear arms, but if you're a felon, you can get that right taken away legally. So I thought that was a pretty interesting topic. Next is ethics, which is the study of morality, and morality is the standard of what's right or wrong. Teleology. This is super interesting. The etymology of teleology means end or goal or purpose in Greek, and so teleology being if an act is right if it produces the desired result. So you can remember that because the etymology meaning end or goal, teleology is if you get that end goal, it doesn't matter what means you do it by. It is considered right if the end product is right or is the desired result. Next is deontology. So this is kind of the opposite idea. It's that right is determined by the action itself and not the outcome. So this is also derived from a Greek word, and that word is deon, meaning duty. So this focuses on the adherence to duty rather than the end result. So it's saying right is determined by the action and not the end result. So you might have like good intentions in doing something, but the end result doesn't turn out well. This would be considered morally right in deontology, but not in teleology. Next is a categorical imperative. And so, sorry, I got a text. Right is always right and wrong is always wrong. No matter what. That's a categorical imperative. And so in any category, right is right and wrong is wrong. Objectivism. This bases right and wrong on the concept of human rights. Utilitarianism is the belief that actions are right if they benefit the most people. So for this, I always think of like, if you're on an island with a group of people and you don't have any food, objectivism would say, well, if we eat maybe the smallest person here, it will benefit the most people. So under utilitarianism, that's an extreme example, but that would be morally correct. Okay, democracy. So what is the difference between a democracy and a republic? I'm guessing that will be a question tomorrow. And I think the key difference to stress is that in democracy, it focuses on the majority rules, but in a republic, there are laws to protect individual rights. So even though in both systems, you have the people making a lot of the decisions and all voting, in democracy, it's just if 51% rule over the 49, then that's how it is. But in a republic, there are laws in place to protect individual rights. Next is another question that I think we're going to be asked, which is the difference between communism and socialism. And I've been struggling with this one because they seem pretty similar, but I think what really helped me was the idea that communism is for a small commune, hence the word. So it's a classless system where the government controls production, nobody owns any private property, and everyone is equal in resource distribution. And so it's important to note that communism comes from, like, the word commune, because this is very possible if you're in a small society. But when you take it to a larger scale and you have a whole nation, this would be socialism, which is communism at the national level, where the government owns and controls key industries. So obviously in a small village, you're not going to have major industries for the government to even control. But with socialism, the government will own and control those key industries, but some market activities and private ownership may still exist. All right, strict egalitarianism. So this is strict equality, similar to what we've been talking about just now, but this is more of an idea, and it's that everyone has the same level of opportunities and goods. Next is the free market. So the free market is an economy where prices and production are determined by supply and demand. So this is a market with minimal government control, and if you've seen Parks and Rec, there's a character named Ron Swanson who really believes in the free market, and it's pretty funny how stubborn he is on this. But people who want this, I think, want it because it would, for our next terms, it would create perfect efficiency and perfect justice in theory, meaning perfect efficiency, resources would be moved where demand is highest, so supply and demand would be, an equilibrium. Then it would also, in theory, create perfect justice, meaning that buyers and sellers can enter and leave the market as they choose, and that there would be no monopolies. All right, moving on is argument from intimidation. And so this has probably been my favorite chapter so far of the book we're reading, which is called The Virtue of Selfishness, which is an interesting book. Don't judge it by the title. This viewpoint basically discredits another person's idea or viewpoint by attacking the person instead of the argument. So if someone, and this is a conspiracy theory, I'm like, oh, maybe. We've just been talking a lot about big corporations, and one theory in a video that I liked was that the milk industry has labeled unpasteurized milk as unsafe and unhealthy because they want to be able to, have their farms with a bunch of cows in a row and pump them full of who knows what, and then sell it, and it'll be shelf stable for longer. So argument from intimidation would be like, if someone believed that, they would say, you're a conspiracy theorist, rather than like, I don't know if that is correct. Maybe unpasteurized milk is unsafe, but I think I would still try it. That's a whole nother topic. That's argument from intimidation. Next concept is eminent domain. So this means if the government needs a land, like a piece of land, they can pay a fair price and take it. And I believe this exists, which is crazy, but I guess if they're willing to pay a fair price, it's legal, which I wouldn't guess would be a thing in the US, but that is what eminent domain means. A monopoly is basically when one big company or corporation dominates an entire industry, and this is a little dangerous because they can raise prices and lower them however they choose. They can raise prices so high, and if they're the only one who's producing a good that people need, then people will just be forced to pay that price. And so there's basically no competition in a monopoly. And I think the closest thing we have to that in the US would be pharmacies, because if you need a prescription, there's really nowhere you can get it besides a pharmacy. But there are very special laws around monopolies and what a company can and cannot do. Next is egoism. As you would guess from the word ego, and this is the idea that people naturally act in their own self-interest first. Next, we're going to go over 3 people we need to know. First is Karl Marx. So he said, make everything government owned, no private property. What does this sound like to y'all? Probably communism. So those were some of his ideas. Mandeville is, his ideas were focusing on the idea that man's self-interest serves the public good. And you might be like, what? So he claims this because the pursuit of enjoyment and happiness, he believes, promotes economic growth, which actually makes a lot of sense, and it raises prosperity. I would say that's pretty accurate, just because like having fun a lot of times does cost money. So man's self-interest and desire to enjoy things definitely stimulates the economy. And our final person we need to know is Rousseau. So this is a man who said that man is motivated by self-love. And this seems like it wouldn't make sense with what I just said, but natural man is good, not evil. So human wants are limited by the environment, and property leads to inequity. So I think he was saying like the systems in place are what leads to inequity, and not man's corruption itself or himself. Those are the three main people we need to know. Next is equity. So equity focuses on fairness, where members get outcomes proportional to their inputs. So if you work, I guess it's the idea like if you work hard, you'll be rewarded. Not to get it confused with libertarian principles, this is the belief that individuals should succeed on talent, effort, and ability without external influence. And so the difference here is that equity aims for proportional fairness, while libertarian principles or meritocracy emphasizes success based solely on personal merit, so no outside influence. Our final term is the Bill of Rights, and so the Bill of Rights is the first 10 amendments of the U.S. Constitution. It lists basic freedoms like freedom of speech, religion, press, a fair trial, and it exists to protect people's rights and limit the government's power, ensuring that citizens have personal freedom. So I don't believe that we need to actually like know each one, even though they are interesting, but that is what they are and why they exist. Those are the terms for the exam tomorrow. Best of luck. Hope this was helpful.